looms. Why the governor's promise of a 40 property tax cut may not come to be. What to watch for in the coming weeks.
Then, a teacher shortage on both sides of the river. I'm Alex Whitney looking into a new program to place qualified teachers into Nebraska classrooms.
And I'm Katrina Markle. In Iowa, teachers will be getting a raise as this state fights the same problem. What new and veteran teachers can expect and what it ultimately means for students.
Plus, the Jays are flying high to the Motor City. I'm Kelsey Mannix at Creighton. How fans are feeling as the team prepares for the Sweet 16.
We continue to follow the signature issue in Nebraska, and that's taxes, and whether lowering what we pay in property taxes means raising what we pay elsewhere. State lawmakers are debating a 1% sales tax increase. My kitchen table is on sale for $735 right now. Yes, we already pay taxes on these things. The difference on it would be $7.35 more. But LB 388 would also eliminate several tax exemptions, like popping candy. We don't pay taxes on those, but would. Same goes with storage units, if you have one of those. And of interest to pet parents, non-livestock vet services. This is our rescue Benny, and here's the invoice from our last vet visit. We did not pay taxes on that total, but had we paid taxes, it would have been about $26 more than it was. Because there's so much two-way between the pros and cons, lawmakers are expected to go late as the bill continues to go through its paces in Lincoln.
None of this benefits poor people, and that is the overall problem with this. I like the exceptions for the utilities. I think that's great. But overall, I don't think this benefits poor people. It only benefits wealthy people.
I take exception to some of these comments that they will not vote for a tax increase, whereas we sit here today and we don't do nothing with property taxes. If we leave them the way they are, if we leave everything the way it is, you are indirectly voting for a property tax increase.
In seeking different perspectives, we've learned there's a range of reasons why the proposed sales tax increase is getting pushback.
The proposed initial rate would make us the highest sales tax rate in the country, not even in the Midwest, the whole country. And with many states that surround and border Nebraska, what we will see is border bleed, that people will cross state lines to purchase large ticket items to avoid that sales tax increase.
That sets up an impact on business owners too, not just consumers and property owners. The Platt Institute and Open Sky Policy Institute do differ on some things, but on sales taxes, the organization's leaders feel similarly.
A key thing to be aware of with sales taxes is that they tend to eat up more of a household budget for low and middle income families than for higher income families.
This proposal is in round 2, and this is the last chance for state senators to make any changes. It'll need a final reading before it goes up for a vote. Time is evaporating, though. After Wednesday, there's just 9 days left this session. Douglas County property owners have an April 1st deadline to pay their first half of property taxes to avoid a delinquent interest penalty. If you're paying by mail, have it postmarked by March 31st, though you also have the option of paying in person at a Douglas County Treasurer's location, the drop boxes at those locations, or online.
2 people, including a teenage girl,
are hurt after a shooting above this Panda House at 16th and Farnham. I'm Hannah McElry here in downtown Omaha, where 2 bystanders were taken to the hospital after Omaha police officers opened fire after feeling threatened by a dog.
This is what police say happened. 2 officers were responding to a trespassing call of an evicted tenant when they heard dogs fighting on the 2nd floor of the building. The officers found 2 people trying to break up the fight between the dogs. After trying to help, one of the dogs became aggressive towards the officers. They then decided to shoot the animal. When they fired, the 2 people were hit.
They encountered an aggressive dog, and they, in order to protect themselves, it sounds like they fired some rounds, fired at the dog, and put the dog down. The dog is deceased, but unfortunately hit a bystander in the leg, in the lower leg, and that was a young female. There was a second female that also was struck by either some shrapnel or some tile.
Both were taken to the hospital. They are expected to survive. At this time, they say they do not know if the dog belonged to the bystander or someone else living in the complex.
Bonacci says the officers did have their body cameras on during the incident. I'm Hannah McElry, your downtown Omaha neighborhood reporter.
A check of your weather, and it was nice to finally see the sunshine return there for a few hours. I was a little skeptical whether or not we'd actually, for one, get the sunshine, but also two, warm up, because at 2:30 this afternoon, we were still at 30 degrees here in Omaha. We've since warmed up a bit, up to 41 degrees over at Epley. South winds are now out, just out of that direction, out from the south at about 8 to 10 miles per hour. There is a little chill to the air, though, this evening, so you'll definitely want a jacket if you have any Wednesday evening plans. Right now, the skies are partly to mostly clear. We had some earlier in the day snow flurries kind of moving through the region. All of that stuff is now cleared up. It looks like temperatures, again, now kind of into the low 40s here as we close out your day. We've almost reached 50 degrees in Lincoln and Beatrice. We're still in the 30s, though, out near Atlantic, Red Oak, and even for Denison. That wind, it's now more directionally out from the south. That, for us, is more of a warmer wind direction, too. And so we'll do just that. We'll start to warm up after tonight, and really your Thursday and Friday look much better temperature-wise. We'll be in the 30s, around 35 to 36 here for your evening hours, and our skies will just kind of remain partly to mostly clear here for the night. The model is trying to give us a few pockets of snow flurries into your Thursday morning. Right now, I think that will probably stay snow-free into the morning hours, and then quickly right back into sunshine with temperatures in the 60s there on your Thursday. Rain chances over Easter weekend. It's looking more probable, especially on Easter Sunday itself. Coming up in my forecast, we'll give you a track on those rain showers for Easter.
Teachers and paraeducators in Iowa, especially in smaller districts, are about to see a boost to their starting salaries. I'm Katrina Markle, your Southwest Iowa neighborhood reporter. On Wednesday afternoon, Governor Kim Reynolds signed an education bill into law. One provision, raising pay for teachers and support professionals, has relatively widespread support. Iowa State Education Association Executive Director Coy Marquardt welcomed the change.
Finally, the legislature addressing it after, 15 years of not.
The minimum starting pay for Iowa teachers is currently about $33,000 a year. But starting next school year, that will rise to $47,500. The following year, $50,000. A teacher with 12 years of experience will make at least $60,000 annually. Council Bluffs State Representative Republican Brent Segrist supports the wage increase, even though the large districts he represents already meet the new minimum salaries.
The urban schools scoop up the rural teachers because they can pay more. This will allow them to be a little bit more competitive.
Lewis Central, on the outskirts of Council Bluffs, already starts teachers above the $47,000 threshold. But the superintendent says some teachers with more than 12 years experience may see a bump. How the new law is implemented by the state, says Marquardt, is still unknown.
Our message to our members, we're going to encourage them to work with their local school district administrators, school boards, to make sure that everybody gets the compensation they deserve.
Another provision in the education law, a more controversial one, makes changes to the funding model for the area education agencies, which provide special education and other services to Iowa schools. Katrina Markle, your Southwest Iowa neighborhood reporter.
It's an innovative new way to tackle the teacher shortage. I'm Alex Whitney, your neighborhood reporter here at Westbrook Elementary, one of the partners in a new apprenticeship program that's looking to build a paraeducator to teacher pipeline. Educators, especially teachers, are in short supply in almost every Nebraska school district. According to the Nebraska Department of Education, over 900 teaching positions remain unfilled across the state. Until recently, the department has been looking for ways to draw in younger students to the world of teaching. But a new program is trying to fill those slots with folks who are already in the classroom. The new apprenticeship program won't replace student teachers or traditional education pathways. Instead, it will add a new path for paraprofessionals and education assistants to take classes at night and earn credits towards becoming a certified teacher while still working full-time.
We want individuals to have their boots on the ground doing the work every day, and this apprenticeship model allows our EAs to spend more time in the classroom as EAs and get credit for that.
Now, this program is just kicking off, and the Department of Education is hoping it will grow in districts across the state, and they're hoping to graduate their first students this spring. Reporting here at Westbrook, Alex Whitney, your neighborhood reporter.
There's a new tool rolling out in your central Omaha neighborhood that could completely change the game for autism diagnoses. The Monroe-Meyer Institute at UNMC will start using the early point evaluation for autism next month, the first in Nebraska to use it in a clinical setting. And here's how it works. Children as young as 16 months old are sat in front of a tablet that plays videos and then data tracking the child's eye movements gathered, determining what the child's focus is drawn to. This particular technology was already approved last year by the FDA for ages 16 months to 2.5 years, but now the Monroe-Meyer Institute will expand use to children up to 8 years old. The Institute believes this could move up the average age of autism diagnoses, allowing families in Nebraska to get on those important care plans earlier. If you're interested in getting your child on the wait list, contact MMI's Patient Information Center.
Welcome back. All right, a check of your weather as finally, the sunshine back with us today. Eventually, we finally warmed back into the 40s in some locations, mostly in Nebraska here into your Wednesday afternoon. Now we're at about 41 degrees over the airport with a light south wind. That wind kind of more directionally out from the south now, and that'll hopefully lead to some warmer weather too. That's typically a warmer weather direction there for us. That wind out from the south, it's still creating, though, a bit of a wind chill here this evening. So with the wind chills in the 20s and 30s here for your upcoming Wednesday evening, it's definitely jacket weather for the next few hours. Parts of Iowa, Denison to Atlantic and Red Oak only got back into the upper 30s this afternoon. We're currently at 42 in Fremont. 49 is the temperature in Lincoln. We may have warmed as warm as about 50 in Lincoln this afternoon. So here's a look at your temperature trend for the next few hours. We'll just kind of hold in the 30s, right around or just above freezing, at least through 9 and 10 o'clock, and then eventually tonight down to about 26 degrees by your Thursday morning. It's not nearly as cold as last night when we dropped down to to 18 degrees here in Omaha. The record low, in fact, for today's date is 11 degrees, set back in 1956. Why is any of this significant? Well, the average last 20-degree night for Omaha was actually around March 21st. Today is March 27th, so we're climatologically past the last average date for 20 degrees or colder. We were colder than that last night. Now, the average last 32-degree night is April 21st, so we're about a month away from that, but we are, technically not supposed to be really into the 20s, into the teens, I should say, for temperatures. 20s, that's a little bit more common this time of the year. Now, for the next few days, we do start a warming trend. Tomorrow afternoon, we're back into the 60s. We're almost near 70 on Friday, and then we start cooling off again over the upcoming Easter weekend. By Monday of next week, we could only be in the 40s and 50s, almost about 10 degrees below average now then for this time of the year. Our satellite and radar shows all of the cloud cover from earlier today starting to kick out of the region. A few extra clouds, though, out to our west, and we'll just kind of watch those roll in throughout the night. I think it leads to a partly cloudy sky for your Thursday morning. Maybe a few snow flurries, too. The model is trying to give us a few passing snow flurries in the morning, just like what we saw this morning, but I think it clears up pretty quickly, maybe a little bit quicker than what it did today. And that should lead to more milder temperatures by tomorrow afternoon, hopefully back into the 50s, if not maybe even into the low 60s. Then we get into Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and even Monday of next week. Easter weekend, right now, we do have some chances for rain. Let's take a look at the extended range model, and it looks like on Friday, maybe some spotty showers to our north and to our south. But right now, Friday is kind of trending dry, so hopefully that's the case there for us. Saturday, similar story. It looks like mostly dry conditions. But Sunday's now looking like we have some rain possibilities, not just in the morning, but also into the evening, too. We might have some rainy breaks on Sunday afternoon for Easter, but I do think right now we're going to have to dodge out a little bit of rain there on your Easter Sunday, and then we get another pretty good shot at some rainfall into Monday of next week. Hey, so we're mostly clear tonight. Chilly this evening. Temperatures will be down near 26 by tomorrow morning. Lots of sunshine after all the morning clouds clear up. 63 will be the temperature there on your Thursday afternoon. We're up to 68 on Friday. A couple of spotty showers are possible on Friday and on Saturday. I think we have the better chances for rain right now on Sunday morning and Sunday evening and on Monday of next week.
For the third time in 4 years, Creighton men's basketball is in the Sweet 16. I'm Kelsey Mannix at Creighton, where I talk to fans as the Jays headed off to Detroit. Creighton gave some fans a little scare Saturday against Oregon.
I was so relieved. It was just, I was up and down, and we're down 4, and there's less than a minute left, and I'm going, oh no, it's just gone. And then the boys just brought it all back.
Now the focus is the Sweet 16, which longtime Jays fans have grown accustomed to seeing.
They're playing at a high level, which is fun. It's great to be a fan this time of year, and I'm excited for the guys. I can't wait.
After all these years, it's neat. My little school is there. It's something that friends from around the country get to see, and it's really kind of important to me.
And after last year's Elite 8 appearance, once again, there's high hopes. A win over Tennessee means a matchup with either Purdue or Gonzaga.
I'd like to see them hard again, so I hope it's Gonzaga, but Purdue's just, tough and mean. Let's face it, it's tough.
Young fans, on the other hand, are already thinking ahead.
To make it to the Final Four. To win the whole competition.
The game's pretty late on Friday. Is it past your bedtime when the game starts? Are you going to stay up and watch it?
Yes.
Tip-off against Tennessee just after 9 p.m. Friday on TBS. Covering the Jays, Kelsey Mannix, 3 News Now Sports. If you want to scope out the competition that Creighton could face down the road if they keep winning, you can catch many of the games right here on KMTV. CBS is airing 6-seed Clemson versus 2-seed Arizona on Thursday at 6:09 p.m., followed by number 4-seed Alabama against 1-seed North Carolina. And Friday, those game times are the same at 6:09 and 8:39, with 11-seed NC State versus 2-seed Marquette, followed by Duke, a 4-seed, against 1-seed Houston. Multiple reports saying Nebraska guard C.J. Wilcher has entered the transfer portal. The 6'5 junior spent the past 3 seasons at Nebraska and has 1 year of eligibility left. Wilcher is the 4th Husker to enter the portal since it opened.
Hello again, everyone. I'm 3 News Now Chief Meteorologist Mark Stitz. We continue Severe Weather Awareness Week today. And of course, as you can see next to me, today's topic, tornadoes. How they form and how strong these things can get. By the way, we don't actually measure the winds inside a tornado. It's really hard to do that. So what the National Weather Service does is they look at the damage caused by a tornado and they see how strong was the structure that was damaged and how much damage was done to it. And they kind of put all that together to decide or estimate how strong the winds were. And then they rate them on the EF scale. Now, a lot of us, including me, are old enough that when I grew up, we had the F scale. Well, now it's the enhanced F scale because it was updated a little bit. So that's why it's now the EF scale. But same numbers. The lower the number, the weaker the tornado. So an EF 0 typically has winds of 65 to 85 miles per hour. And again, as you get a larger number, the winds get stronger. An EF 2 winds up to 135 miles per hour. And an EF 4 winds up to 200 miles per hour. And again, most likely here in Nebraska and Iowa, we see more of the EF 0s to EF 2s, but those can still do quite a bit of damage, as we know. Now, tornadoes, it's interesting how they form. It gets complicated fast, but here's the basics of it. First, one of the ingredients we need added to typical severe weather setups is a wind shear. And basically it means the wind speed or the wind direction changes as you go higher in elevations in the sky. And basically that allows some rotation to start to occur. See it laying there on the ground in the horizontal direction? And then a supercell thunderstorm can come over and its updraft, or the wind going up into the storm, can kick that rotation into the vertical direction. And long story short, that can lead to a tornado. So that's at least the very basics of it. So let's go over some tornado safety. And again, some of this is just a review, but always good to go through it every single year. So here's our pretend house. If you're at home, there's multiple things you want to do. First off, go to the basement if you have one. Basically the lowest level of your home. If you don't have one, that's the first level of your home. Next thing, you want to put as many walls between you and that storm as possible to help protect you and your family. So things inside the middle of the house, typically like a bathroom, a good place to go to. You can see that they're highlighted in green. On the way to the bathroom, grab the kiddos' bike helmets, football helmets, baseball helmets, whatever they're involved in, or a pillow to help protect your head, or a blanket to help keep any of that debris that may get into your home. And if you live in a mobile home, it's best to seek more substantial or better shelter. All right, so we are wrapping up or heading into severe weather season. This is when the tornadoes become most likely in our area. For Nebraska, this is the average over the last 30 years of the number of tornadoes per month. So April, we typically see a handful of tornadoes in the state. But by May, we're seeing more than a dozen per month. And June, probably the peak of our tornado season. And as you see in July, the summer heat begins to take over. And that's when we'll see things start to quiet down. Iowa, very similar pattern. May and June, your biggest tornado months. But as we've seen the last couple of years, a tornado can happen any time of year. So that's it for our tornado day. Tomorrow's focus, though, all about lightning. Meteorologist Tim Schmidt will have that for you tomorrow.
A beloved, more than century-old cabin here in Papillion has now become the target of vandals. I'm Ron Johnson, your Papillion neighborhood reporter, with more on the city reaction to this act of vandalism and why cleaning it up won't be the easiest of tasks.
I think just the initial reaction is just, being disheartened.
These letters, FJB, were spray painted on the sides and back of the Boy Scout cabin in Papillion's City Park over the weekend.
It's shocking, and you don't really hear about vandalism here.
Shocking because the cabin is a well-known historic landmark in the community. It stood here since 1921, is now owned by the city, and is still used by the Boy Scouts. Business owners in the nearby downtown area say they can't imagine why it would have been targeted.
It's just a fun place for schools to go on field trips, for new people who don't know about our town. They come through there. It's really sad that somebody would do that.
The cabin was restored in 2020. The Scout troop, city, and community played a big role.
Added a new foundation, did some touch-ups on the cabin, and then we also got the historical sign.
That sign documents the history of the cabin, detailing how it was put together. Elements like limestone and oak logs were used, surfaces that are hard to remove, graffiti, without damage. City officials have a message for whoever did this.
I hope, if they've seen any of the reaction, that they now understand how much this cabin means to our community.
And those who work nearby say they're not letting this act define their community.
I think as a community and the downtown businesses, we will do everything to clean it up and make it back to new.
I reached out to Papillion Police. They told me they did take a report on this vandalism case, but they don't have any video of the act itself. So they're really relying on the community's help. If you have any information or tips that could lead police to a potential suspect, you're asked to contact them at the number on your screen. I'm Ron Johnson, your Papillion neighborhood reporter.
Well, temperatures this afternoon got back into the upper 40s for some locations in Nebraska. The rest of us only in the 30s this afternoon. Now we're into the evening. It's currently 39 in Takema. 41 is our temperature right now in Omaha. We're at 42 in Fremont. 45 still is that temperature in Plattsmouth. We're at 41 in Red Oak. As we get closer into kind of the 8, 9 o'clock hours, your temperatures will be down near 36 degrees and eventually dropping down to around 25 by tomorrow morning. Wouldn't be shocked if we see maybe a few snow flurries into your Thursday morning. Otherwise, we're dry and sunny for the rest of the day. It looks like, though, we have some rain possible as we get into your Easter weekend. It'll be cooler this weekend, too.
It's an innovative new way to tackle the teacher shortage. I'm Alex Whitney, your neighborhood reporter here at Westbrook Elementary, one of the partners in a new apprenticeship program that's looking to build a paraeducator to teacher pipeline.
I graduated from Westside. My kids graduated from Westside. I work in Westside, and now I'm going to be teaching in Westside.
Shelley Sipp has spent a lot of time in the classrooms of Westside School District. She's worked as an educational assistant or paraprofessional for over a decade, and now she's ready to take the next step in her career as an educator.
Having been an EA for 15 years, I don't want to say I've seen it all, but I've probably seen it all, heard it all from the kids, know all the excuses.
Educators like Shelley, especially teachers, are in short supply in almost every Nebraska school district. According to the Nebraska Department of Education, over 900 teaching positions remain unfilled across the state. The department has for years searched for ways to recruit new teachers, but now a new program is designed to fill those slots with people who are already in the classroom.
We want individuals to have their boots on the ground doing the work every day, and this apprenticeship model allows our EAs to spend more time in the classroom as EAs and get credit for that.
The new apprenticeship program won't replace student teachers or traditional education pathways. Instead, it will offer a new path for education assistants to take classes at night and earn credits while still working full-time. Ultimately, they will earn a degree and become a full-time certified teacher. The program was made possible by $1 million in state funding, but it's administered by the participating schools themselves through partnerships with local universities. Right now, it's offered in 3 districts: North Platte Public Schools, Lincoln Public Schools, and Westside School District.
Given the teacher shortage / crisis that we have, I wouldn't be surprised to see school districts themselves fund programs like this once that $1 million is spent.
The Department of Education hopes the program won't just help fill open positions, but find teachers who are already connected to their district. Shelley has spent her whole life at Westside. and there isn't anywhere else she'd rather be.
I'm able to tell people how proud I am of Westside because I'm here, and I've been here since kindergarten, and I will be here for probably ever.
Now, this program is just kicking off, and the Department of Education is hoping it will grow in districts across the state, and they're hoping to graduate their first students this spring. Reporting here at Westbrook, Alex Whitney, your neighborhood reporter.
A special announcement from OPPD's North Omaha station, about 200 feet above, that is. And that's where a couple of peregrine falcons named Lewis and Clark make their home. Clark, the female, has laid her first egg of the nesting season, and the camera caught her shouting out the news. While her mate was likely out hunting, she is busy getting the nest ready. Last year, Clark laid 4 eggs in late March and early April. Unfortunately, though, none of the chicks survived. You can view the nesting bucks 24 hours a day on OPPD's live stream. You'll find that on its YouTube page. Voices for Children in Nebraska releasing the details of its 2023 Kids Count report, which highlights the challenges families face in accessing child care. And one of the biggest hurdles continues to be the availability of quality care. The numbers show that a 17% decline in the number of licensed facilities statewide from 2020 to 22, and that 9 counties in Nebraska lacked any such centers. The other concern is the cost of child care, and a lot of you probably nodding about that. The study shows that caring for one infant can consume as much as 33% of a single mother's income. More on the study's findings will be released come Thursday, and we'll bring you those details then.
Remember when it was 80 degrees in February? Yeah, me too. Despite the cold weather, the time is now to start seeding for local farmers like the Wenninghoffs. I'm Jill Lampkins, your Northwest Omaha reporter off 78th and Sorensen Parkway, where greenhouse and some outdoor vegetable seeding is underway.
We pinch everything by hand, we seed everything by hand, and my husband waters everything by hand.
As fourth-generation farmers, owner Amy Wenninghoff knows a thing or two about gardening.
So we just go in and pinch on both of those main stems.
Seeding in the greenhouse began middle of February, giving crops enough time to grow in a controlled environment so they have a better chance of surviving in unpredictable outside temperatures.
Farming is a big gamble, and we like to think we have control, but we have no control. It's up to nature.
Amy says they plant crops in waves in case the cold weather wins and prevents growth on some of the early produce.
And these were supposed to go in the field last week, but with 18 degrees, we're not putting them in the field. So we bring them in our shop.
The weather can have an impact on the greenhouse.
And so if you have a week of no sun, your plants are delayed by a week. They got to play catch up later.
While the Wenninghoffs know the ins and outs of spring seeding, first-time gardeners might need some tips.
Generally, if you're going to start it inside, you're going to need a grow light or lots and lots of windows for the sunlight.
But don't start putting them outside until at least the 1st of May.
So if you're a backyard gardener and you have ways to protect it, just know it's going to freeze again. So you have to have a pretty good protection.
The greenhouse will open April 20th and the produce barn a few months later in July. Off 78th and Sorensen Parkway, I'm Jill Lampkins, your Northwest Omaha reporter.
A law enforcement alliance who's bringing back an Easter egg hunt with over 20,000 eggs. I'm Riel Snaya, your neighborhood reporter. Coming up, I'll tell you all about the event. I'm Riel Snaya, your South Omaha neighborhood reporter at Spring Lake Park, where a law enforcement alliance is bringing back an Easter egg hunt they haven't done in 2 years. The National Latino Police Officer Association says the new board members are behind the family-friendly event. They say it's an effort to bring police and the community together. The event is on Saturday. The organization shared this flyer to clarify it will be near J and L Street next to the baseball field. This year, they'll lay out around 25,000 candy stuffed eggs. Students and officers from all over the county are helping them with the event. Organizers told me around 2,000 kids have shown up to the event in years past. They're hoping that continues to be a trend. At South 13th and J Street, I'm your South Omaha neighborhood reporter, Maria Osnaya.
The Papio Missouri River NRD will open the Elkhorn and Platte River access sites for the season on April 1st. Those sites include Elkhorn Crossing, West Maple, northeast of Waterloo. That's my favorite. Grasky Crossing near 204th and Dodge, and the Platte River Landing. High river flows occasionally force Papio NRD to temporarily close the sites for safety. Elkhorn River and Platte River landing sites are closed when the river reads 5 feet or above. You can check to see which sites are open throughout the season on Papio NRD's social media pages.
Check of our weather in the Super 7-day forecast, and it looks like the radar across the region nice and quiet. We did have a little pass of some snow flurries earlier this morning out to our west over the Rocky Mountains and just off that front range. Still some energy out that direction. We might get clipped by a little bit of that cloud cover and maybe some snow flurries again later tonight and into tomorrow. Otherwise, right now it looks like skies will be nice and clear for the next few hours. Let's take a look at some of the snow, just the almanac here over the last few months and our seasonal snowfall totals. So far, this month, we've had just over 1.5 inches of snow reported over at Eppley. We typically average about 3 to 3.5 inches of snow for the month of March. Sometimes March has all kinds of heavy snowfall events. Sometimes we barely get any snow, just kind of like what we're dealing with this season. We're just under 20 inches of official snowfall over at Eppley. The average for the season, when you kind of just take the whole 2023 and 2024 average of what we're supposed to have, it's supposed to be around about 27 inches. So we'll likely be below that. It just doesn't look like right now we're going to get clipped by any major snowfalls anytime soon. Could see a few snow flurries into the morning. Otherwise, once we get into the afternoon on your Thursday, sunny, warm, not so breezy outside. I like this too, 63 for a temperature tomorrow afternoon. That temperature is going to be about 20 degrees warmer than where we were today. So I am really looking forward to that. We're back to a little bit more mild weather as we get into the first half of your Easter weekend. Temperatures of 68 with a slight chance for rain on Friday, 58 on Saturday, and then for Easter Sunday. Again, we keep talking now about some rain possibilities on Sunday. Right now it looks like Friday and most of Saturday should be mostly dry, but then once we get into your Saturday evening and your Saturday night, another storm system moves in. So any church services on Saturday evening, like the Easter Vigil, right now it looks dry, but then for Sunday morning, it does look like we have chances for rain, and we could even see some more rain into Monday of next week. It definitely looks cooler to start out next week. We'll drop back into the lower 50s.
Did you ever wake up feeling 10 years older? Well, it turns out there may be some science to that. Coming up, the study that says early to bed may mean feeling younger when you rise. TikTok continues to face scrutiny from government agencies. This time, it's the Federal Trade Commission taking a closer look. Two sources say the agency is launching an investigation for an alleged violation of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. Officials are also investigating a potential violation of the FTC Act, which prohibits deceptive acts that affect commerce. So far, no official comment from the FTC or TikTok. This comes as there's a growing congressional push to possibly ban TikTok from the U.S. TikTok previously said it denies allegations that the platform is a national security threat to U.S. citizens. People building up their savings can benefit from earning higher interest rates, but a survey by Bankrate finds that most consumers are not taking advantage. Many banks today offer high-yield savings accounts with rates above 4%, but Bankrate found very few Americans, just 22%, are earning above that 4% mark. Most high-yield savings accounts can be found online. Bankrate recommends that you shop around to compare rates and then evaluate your options based on any fees or minimum deposit requirements. We usually feel more refreshed after a good night's sleep, but could it make us feel younger too? According to new studies, not getting enough sleep could make you feel 5 to 10 years older than you really are. So researchers looked at a group of people between the ages of 18 and 70 years old, and the group was allowed no more than 4 hours of sleep. On average, they felt nearly 4.5 years older than they were. Researchers said that's because a lack of energy and motivation makes us feel older. It also limits physical and social activity, two things that help us feel younger. In contrast, when the same group slept well, they reported feeling nearly 6 years younger on average.
Exciting things are happening in space, and a lot of focus is on the moon.
The moon is hot. It's hot again.
Why? Because we haven't been back there since 1972, and there were a lot of parts that we didn't explore.
We just hit a couple of sites, and as it turns out from what we know today, we didn't even go to the most interesting places.
So there's still a lot of science to be done, from exploring the dark side of the moon to mining for ice and more. But while space agencies talk about setting up long-term outposts, a new study in the Planetary Science Journal warns that the moon is shrinking. And before you go there, no, I am not talking about some diabolical plot by Gru and his minions to shrink and steal the moon like the plot of Despicable Me.
We think that's because the interior of the moon is still hot.
That's Tom Waters, a lunar geologist from the Smithsonian Institution who co-authored the study. He says as its core cools, the moon starts getting smaller, causing the surface to pucker.
We've now found thousands of these faults all over the moon.
While the Earth has tectonic plates that can shift as the core cools, the moon is one solid sheet. So
the whole surface of the moon is going to shrink to make up to the change in volume that's happening in the interior.
But it's happening very slowly. Scientists estimate it's shrunk by 160 feet in diameter over tens of millions of years. It's not enough to affect Earth, but all of this contracting is causing moonquakes, where the surface shakes violently.
We've recorded thousands of moonquakes.
The biggest recorded was a 5 on the Richter scale, which doesn't sound like much, but this is space that we're talking about.
Earthquakes generally only last for maybe minutes at the most. A moonquake can last for hours, and a 5 on the Richter scale on the moon, it's probably going to knock you off your feet.
Which brings us back to our space missions, because that strongest moonquake ever recorded happened where the upcoming Artemis mission is scheduled to land.
And the idea is not to scare anybody about exploring the south polar region of the moon.
But Waters says these moonquakes need to be taken into consideration with future missions, because the longer humans are on the moon, the more likely they are to experience one.
We're now talking about not just going to the moon on these short trips, we're talking about building permanent outposts. We want to be careful about where we build or locate outposts relative to where we know these young, potentially still active thrust faults are located on the moon.
The bottom line is that seismic activity is happening on the moon, so it may need to be factored into long-term lunar missions.
Dollar Tree discount stores are known for their deals, but a price hike is on the way there. Why you may have to be digging in for a few more dollars next time you shop, and that's ahead.
Welcome back. Here's the final check of your forecast, and a reminder you can get that forecast, especially for some of these rain chances that we might have for Easter weekend, on the 3 News Now News and Weather app. Temperatures tonight not nearly as cold as last night. 26 will be the overnight temperature. Might see a few snow flurries in the morning. Otherwise, it will be a milder day on Thursday, up near 63 in the afternoon. A few clouds on Friday with a high of 68. We do have some spotty showers possible over the weekend. It does look like some rain is possible on Sunday.
Your purchase at Dollar Tree could now be costing you a few dollars more. The discount store is raising the maximum price on items from $5 to $7. CEO Rick Dreiling says the price increase is due to a wealthier consumer base. 3 years ago, the company raised the minimum price of items to $1.25. This past June, setting a new cap at $5. However, Dollar Tree reported a net loss of more than $1.7 billion in the quarter ending February 3rd. In response, the retailer announced plans to close nearly 1,000 stores. Thanks for joining us this evening as we continue to work to bring you truly local stories from your neighborhood. We appreciate having your company and hope to see you again at 10. Take care.